I've just got into the car. I'm in a hotel car park right next to Heathrow Airport. I spent the night here last night because I agreed to pick up Tim when he arrived in London, and his plane lands shortly. So I'm off to Heathrow Terminal 3. I don't know why I agreed to this. He could have found his own way out to my place. I just think it's nice to be picked up from the airport, and I also thought maybe we could get some content out of it. So, content. I hate calling it content. Hang on, let me start the car again. Cars don't make nice car starting sounds anymore when they're hybrid. While Tim was in Singapore, we exchanged a few texts, and we've agreed that when I meet him at the airport, we thought maybe we'd do like a Tommy Ball thing, and I'd greet him at the airport as Tommy Ball Tim rather than as Tim Hine, just because we haven't done Tommy Ball for a while. Thought it might be funny. It'd be a test for him after a big long haul flight, and a test for me at 5 in the morning. How do I get out of this car park? So I don't know how it'll go. I've printed out a sign saying Tommy Ball legend Tim Hine. Here we go, here's the exit. I've prepaid, so hopefully the gate just raises. Yes, it does. So, yeah, anyway, let's find how I drive to Terminal 3 from here. Brady Harron here, the voice of Tommy Ball. I'm actually here to meet Tommy Ball legend Tim Hine at Heathrow Airport. I've got a greeting sign here saying Tim Hine, Tommy Ball legend. At his request, I should point out, he demanded that's what the signs say. Of course, Tim's arrival here at London is the first time he's been in England since he left the country in disgrace 5 years ago. He's been very quiet about this visit. He's claiming the visit is under the radar. He's asked no media to attend the airport. He's issued 5 press releases asking the media not to attend, along with full details of his flight and arrival time. I'm just on my way to the arrivals gate now. Trying to not draw too much attention. I have to be honest, there's not a whole lot of media here. No media at all, really. Very quiet. No fans here like they may have been in the glory days. Very anonymous arrival. It's like the ending scene of Love Actually, except without all the beautiful people coming through the doors. I'm seeing the first people from the Qantas flight arriving. It's the first flight of the morning. All looking a bit bleary-eyed, these passengers having crossed the world. Jet setter like Tim Hine, though, probably takes it in his stride. He's crisscrossed the planet 1,000 times in search of Tommy Ball glory. Quite a few middle-aged men in spectacles coming through. Not our middle-aged men in spectacles just yet. Hang on. I think we may have a sighting here. Here we are. In his distinctive flat cap. Tim Hine. Welcome to London once again.
Are you from Netflix?
I'm not. Yeah, Tim, it's good to see you again. You must be pleased. The media seem to have agreed to your request not to attend your arrival here.
I was expecting Netflix. Where I've been making contact about Drive to Survive Tommy Ball edition.
No.
I thought we'd signed, but no, you're...
I don't think Netflix is here.
It is surprisingly quiet. Are you the only one here?
I am. Maybe they're beyond the next security barrier. I'm not sure. But while I have you to myself before the inevitable media throng descend, can I ask a few questions about the flight?
Sure.
First of all, I mean, you are a renowned international jet setter in your Tommy Ball career. How do you find those long flights these days?
Well, unfortunately, I no longer have access to the official Tommy Ball League jet, despite my legend status.
Right.
So unfortunately, I did have to travel commercial on this occasion.
Right. First class, I'm assuming.
I was towards the front of the plane.
Ish. How far towards the front?
Oh, look, I turned right when I got on, but I didn't have to go down very far.
No. Oh, that's good.
It was in the 40s.
In the 40s. In the 40s.
As befitting, as I think they could tell who I was, so, you know.
Oh, well, I was going to ask, were you recognised on the flight, or...?
Not officially, but there were a few sideways glances, I think, and people kept bringing me, like, bottles of water and things in lovely uniforms, and I think clearly fans of my career.
That's a great Tommy Ball tradition, the handing over of water to your favourite player.
Oh, yeah, especially on long flights, yes.
Yeah. And just finally, obviously this is the first time you've been to the UK since, well, that incident 5 years ago that is often talked about. Were there any problems at security or customs?
I don't know if I can talk about that or not. I am coming in with fewer bags than I got on the plane with.
Right. And a different passport by the looks of it.
I'm new at...
Is that Romania?
I'm new at handling all these arrangements myself, and I was assured this one would be fine.
All right. I've got the Tim Hunt Tommy Ball Legend sign as demanded in your pickup request. So
indeed, it's a fantastic sign, nice and clear. I'll just hop out the way so others can see that there. Yes, people. No, give us some room, thanks.
Please, enough. Thank you. All right, we're back to normal, Tim and Brady now, and we're leaving the car park. Welcome to the UK again.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, you're normal, Tim now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, it is. I hate being here. This sucks.
Tim and Tommy Ball Tim are surprisingly similar sometimes.
I should have done a funny voice for Tommy Ball Tim. But...
How was the flight?
Look, it was fine. It was delayed because Yeah,
you arrived early.
I was meant to take a rather direct flight from Perth direct, but because of the Middle East situation, I had to go to Melbourne first, and then to Perth, and then to Singapore, and then to London. So it's been a long 30 hours or so. They
didn't want the plane to fly over Iranian airspace.
That's right. That's right, yeah. And even when I was looking at the map, coming from Singapore on a slightly different angle and refueled, you could see them sort of do a big curve, like a little half moon around that part of the Middle East, yeah.
Did you make any friends? Did you talk to lots of people?
I did. I sat next to some lovely people. Yeah. A lovely retired lady who was a nurse, and I chatted to her on the first leg. And then the second leg, I was next to a couple of doctors, a husband and wife. And I had a lovely chat to them as well. Yeah, and that was fascinating. Lovely. We had some connections from Adelaide and things like that. But we had a lovely long conversation.
Yeah.
Which passes the time well, actually, conversation on the plane. You sort of think, I just want to be kind of alone and watch a film or something rather than chatting. But I just loved it. We had a lovely long conversation, and then meals come, and then you chat over the meal, and then you go from there. And then I'll never see her again. It's a really strange bond on a plane, isn't it?
Did you tell her about the podcast?
I mentioned the podcast, yes, because I talked about why I was coming to see you.
Did she know it already?
Look, she didn't let it slip, but I think no. I think we're very big in the medical industry. I think people maybe who live. I know another doctor who listens to us, but people with crazy hours. No, she didn't know the podcast. We didn't go into detail. She was not interested at all.
Really?
To ask about that.
Not even a little bit.
No, not really.
Did you tell her about Spoon of the Week?
No. Damn it! I should have. That's why.
Did you talk to her about Jesus?
No, we talked about the church and her history growing up and that kind of stuff, yeah. Because one of the early things that comes up is, what do you do?
Yeah.
When you're a minister, it's like, oh, right, okay, which church? And then you talk about that, and that gets onto other things, so.
No, we're coming out of the car park now. Is it because you're on holiday you don't have to, make her become a Christian?
Well, I would struggle to make her become a Christian even if I was on duty, but... No, because we just had an authentic conversation.
Right.
You don't want to sit next to someone that says, have you thought about changing your entire worldview of life? No. So we had, very natural, good conversations. Concerns about American politics, concerns about the Middle East. A lot of things in common concerning about around the world at the moment, for which she will be hoping and I'll be praying.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see if I can get into that lane.
There's a lot of European cars over here.
Did you watch any TV shows or movies?
I did. I brought a lot of reading, and I just ended up watching sentimental movies.
Yeah.
It's just a classic case.
What'd you watch?
I watched Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, an airline sort of themed movie.
Yeah, and you know why I did? Because
Tom Hanks is awesome.
Yeah, well, that's why. But I really love that film. But also, when I was departing, you remember I sent you a funny photo of me wearing a pilot's hat? I also sent that to another friend, and he said, "Oh, catch me if you can." You're going to be flying the plane, and that got it in my mind. And so when I got on there and I'm flicking through the movies, there it was, and I was then in the zone to watch it. So I really enjoyed that. And I also watched another wonderful movie, which I had not seen for a long time, Parenthood. Steve Martin movie. And that's a really great movie. And I remember loving it. It's a very funny movie. I watched it and really enjoyed it long before I was a parent. But particularly now, it's been a long time since I watched it as a young parent. Oh yeah, that had me gooey all over, that's for sure. That's a great movie.
No TV shows, podcasts?
I watched a documentary, Classic Albums, about U2 that was on my iPad. Listened to a podcast of a minister called Tim Keller. I played a lot of solitaire on the screen.
Oh yeah, well, on like the actual airline screen.
Yeah. That's quite addictive. And when you got hours and hours and hours, it's okay to be addicted to something. I feel like there was one more thing that I watched. Only one other film, but I can't remember what it was. I did sleep, thank goodness. So that was good.
So you've obviously been to the UK quite a few times. So what do you think when you first arrive out of the airport usually? Or do you remember the first time you arrived, like when you're driving out?
I reckon the first time I came, it was exactly like this. You picked me up. I think you were living here. So far, it just feels exactly the same as every other airport. It's like a highway, except the grass is very green. I always notice that. Lovely, rich green, particularly compared to Adelaide.
I always notice how yellow the grass is when I come to Adelaide.
Yeah, it's in the driest state and the driest continent on Earth is South Australia.
I remember the first time I came to the UK, it was probably similar to this. We were driving pretty much where we are now, and we're shortly coming up to the M25, which is a big motorway that does a big circle around London.
Right.
You and I won't be going on the M25 now. We're just going to go over it and then go out west. But we went straight out onto the M25 and drove on that for a while. And I remember being a bit freaked out by how big the motorway was. There were like, 6 lanes of traffic. And the woman who was driving us was just like a, normal middle-aged older lady, and she was just like, ploughing through the lanes, crisscrossing, and I was like, oh my God, how can you drive on such a busy road? Like, I couldn't believe people could drive on such a busy road, and now it's like, I guess it's normal now, isn't it?
Years and years of reading rock biographies from British bands, they always talk about, doing hard touring, that is going up the M1, living on the M1 up and down. Is it the M1 that goes all the way up north?
The M1, yeah, goes up like the spine. I drive on the M1 a lot because it goes past Nottingham where I used to live and goes up to Yorkshire. And so, yeah, the M1 is a main thoroughfare. And
does it go all the way up to, like, Liverpool and Manchester?
No, it doesn't go to Liverpool and Manchester because they're more off to the west. Like, it misses those. You have to come off the M1 and turn left to go to those. And it doesn't go all the way up to Scotland. I can't remember where it ends. It ends up a bit past Yorkshire.
Yeah, but so far, this could be Melbourne. Yeah. or Sydney.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no thatched cottages or people in bearskin hats or...
No. You're the most English-looking thing at the moment with your flat cap.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I put that on especially. I thought you'd like that.
So we've got about 2 hours drive from Heathrow out to the west of England.
West Country. Nick Cave has a song called West Country Girl about when PJ Harvey left him and went back because she's a West Country girl. She comes from a tiny little town called, what is it? I've forgotten.
Does she have a West Country accent? The West Country accent's famous for being kind of like quite farmerish. Like you sound like you're a farmer. Like it's mocked a little bit in the UK.
Yeah, I noticed that there are different UK accents, but I don't know where they're from and how and why and where. I can't locate them. There are some you can barely understand, and then there are some that are kind of all proper, prim and proper, and then there are others that are, I guess, northern, but I couldn't say which ones are from where. But is Britain a little bit like, if you come from this village, you speak this way, you drive, 4 kilometres down the road to the next village, and it's like, I can tell you're from there because of the inflection on your...
I don't know if like on a village by village basis, but definitely you can drive a couple of hours and be somewhere with a very different accent because the country's so small. Yeah, like a Liverpudlian accent's different to a Manchester, and they're quite close to each other. So we're not gonna see them, but we will be flashing past some towns. We're shortly going past Slough, where the British office is set.
Oh yes. Slough.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Come friendly bombs now fall on Slough. We'll also shortly be going past Windsor Castle.
Oh, right.
Very close to that. You won't see Windsor Castle as well on this side of the motorway for some reason. When you're on that side of the motorway coming towards the airport, you get quite a good look at Windsor Castle, but because you're a bit closer to that big soundproof barrier on the left there, you don't get as many good looks at it. But if you keep an eye out to the left, you will see like the castle-y wallness and the castleness shortly.
It feels a little artificial, Britain, in that way. It's got all these lovely quaint places, but you get a massive freeway to all of them.
Yeah, they're the motorways, and the motorways sort of hide it all from you, but get you around a lot quicker. When you go out further west than where I live and the motorways all stop, you miss the motorways when you're going down these single lanes, hedgerows, having to pull over all the time to let cars go past you.
To let a horse and cart and all that.
I've just been doing a bit of driving out west, and it's pretty stressful.
Oh, look, there's a British kind of house over there, I can see.
Yeah, some thatch.
Look at that. Yep. I can confirm I have got proof of evidence we are in Britain.
Okay.
I always love the word lorry too, that you guys don't call them trucks, you call them lorries.
Yeah, lorries.
And that, for me, always sounds like a children's storybook description of a large car. You know, Jimmy was crossing the road and there came a lorry. And that just seems like a Thomas the Tank Engine kind of truck rather than a real truck. But then you actually call the real ones lorries as well.
Yeah. You unlearn that it's a cute word after you've been here for a while, and it does just become, oh God, look at all the lorries.
If I think back, a huge amount of my images of England are, what are they shaped by? Of course, television. Firstly, children's television, so things like Noddy and
Wombles.
The Wombles, yes. And then some adult television like Yes Minister and just the news, where you used to see Margaret Thatcher and the royals. A lot of women's weeklies that my mum had, which is like a woman's, gossip magazine about the royals, which was forever on about Princess Diana and Fergie and all them. What else shaped it?
Adrian Mole.
Oh, indeed, yeah, that's right.
The books.
Yeah.
The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole.
Yeah, and there were things in that book that I heard and read that I just had to put together in my mind what they were, and then later worked out they were the equivalent of something. So, like the gyro or something.
There was lots of mentions of that. There was a whole big episode about a gyro. That's like a benefits payment, isn't it?
It's like the doll in Australia, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. It's like it's a check you would get from the government.
And then a public holiday is called a bank holiday. And when people, I still don't even have this clear in my head about when people finish high school, they do like O levels or A levels, but some do some and some do the others. Look at that, there's a sign for Windsor Castle, and on the same sign it says Legoland. Yeah. Well, that tells you everything about modern Britain, right?
Well, Legoland is in Windsor, so Windsor Castle's out to the left. It might be behind us already, actually. I'm not sure. Chances to see Windsor Castle. Oh, you can just see one of the turrets of it over there. That's Windsor Castle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there. Yep, can confirm Windsor Castle.
Yep.
Resting place of Elizabeth II?
Yep, she's there in the St. George's Chapel.
Oh, yes. I can't see that from here, obviously.
Also the site of Brady getting his Order of Australia medal.
Indeed. Wow. Well, I think that's why she wanted to be buried there, isn't that right?
I think so. She wanted to be as close as possible. It meant a lot to her. And Slough's out there to the right.
That's funny. Watching The Office, I imagined Slough was like a small town way up north. But it's actually like right next to Windsor.
Yeah, I mean it is rubbish Slough. It is very industrial and that, but yeah, it is close to Windsor, which is nicer.
So it's like it's like the outskirts of London, but it just so happens Windsor is a small village near London. Is that right?
Yeah, the Slough's not part of London. Slough's its own town. Like Slough's separate.
No, but it's not like a suburb. It's so far out now that it's its own sort of.
Yeah, once you're outside the M25, you're properly outside London.
Right, okay.
And we're outside that. So yeah, that's Slough's a town near London, as is Windsor.
One of my favourite things about England is the pubs. They feel like proper pubs. And I feel like every time I go into a pub in Australia, I'm measuring it against how much like an English pub it feels and looks.
Right.
I think you invented pubs, I think, in a sense.
There's some pretty rubbish pubs in England, though. But yeah, there's some nice ones too. I'm not a big pub goer, so I'm not a big part of sort of pub culture. But
well, the pubs, I think the modern ones are the worst ones. I love the idea of a village pub, obviously, where there's people know each other, it's quiet, there's good conversation, and that feels gentle. And you can get some nice fish and chips.
Fish and chips, yeah.
Or bangers and mash.
So I put the word out to our stakeholders that you were in town and you were coming, and asked what we should do while we're together. Because Tim and I will be together for a few days before Tim goes off on other adventures and has other business. And there were speaking of sausages, there were quite a few people wanting you to do the belly buster challenge.
Oh yes, I was thinking about that on the plane.
At my local food van.
God, yeah. No, let's do that. I like that.
There's a lot of sausages there to be eaten. So when do you want to do that?
So there are multiple sausages in this one.
I believe there are multiple sausages. Sausages, bacon, eggs, all sorts of stuff. It's like it's everything.
Well, are we going past there today?
Yeah, it's just a few minutes from my house.
Wow.
You could have it for your breakfast this morning.
Wow, we could do that. When's the last time I ate? Oh, I had a couple of hours. I did have a sausage and bacon.
Well, you don't want to be too hungry because as you get hungry, your stomach contracts, so you won't have much room. So you want to be just in that sweet spot of hungry, but not full. You want to be just in that, you don't want to starve yourself. That beeping, by the way, is speed camera warnings. Yeah, well, you can have it for breakfast this morning if you want.
Well, that might work well. By the time we get there, that might work well, the distance we're travelling. Perfect.
That's a good idea, actually, because that frees up all our other days. You can just
Unless we want another one.
Unless you want to complete it twice.
That would be a record.
Do you actually think you could do it? I don't think you'll do it.
I haven't got a full, from the photos, I've got to see it live to get a proper comprehension of how much food it is.
Bearing in mind only 2 people have ever done it.
Yeah.
But it's not like a world famous thing that thousands of people have tried, but people have tried and failed. More people fail, than do it by a long shot.
Have you tried before?
No. I'll have like a cheeky sausage and bacon roll, though.
Well, you can have whatever I don't finish.
Yeah. What, nothing?
Oh, look, it's South Wales. So in Australia, of course, we have New South Wales, and here's South Wales.
Well, we're not at South Wales. That's just telling us it's ahead.
Well, indeed, it's a sign. Yes, that's right. Yes. This is very much like your idea that it's time New York got rid of the new.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a state of Australia called New South Wales. It's where Sydney is. So obviously the settlers wanted to be reminded of happy times back in South Wales, so they said this can be the New South Wales, not realising the two wouldn't be particularly similar in climate or conditions.
There's a long tradition since of naming things around Australia after English towns and villages and locations and monarchs in order to encourage immigration, to encourage the English to move over there. Remember, the town Elizabeth out the north of Adelaide? It's like there's a factory, there's jobs, there are new houses, it's called Elizabeth, and they managed to incentivise a big tide of English immigrants.
My dad's family was one of them. He moved to Elizabeth when he came to Adelaide. They were lured to Elizabeth.
They were. I think did it only cost £10, or you were given £10? Is that why they're called £10?
No, it cost. It was your boat ticket was £10.
Right.
Yeah, Elizabeth. For those who don't know, I would say is not the nicest part of Adelaide.
It's doing better. It's now an extended part of Adelaide.
Oh yeah, it's a suburb. It's a northern suburb.
But it was sort of set up as this utopian, perfect place, like a little bit of England, and there'd be 100% employment because of the car factories, the manufacturing, and it's one of those, I've seen it written up, classic cases of how trying to create an artificial utopian kind of suburb or town just doesn't work. Everyone will have the same house, so therefore there won't be like status anxiety or envy. Everyone will have jobs, it didn't quite turn out that way.
Have you contacted your family to say you arrive? Is that like the first thing you do when you land and stuff?
I called them and no one answered.
Oh.
So I've not spoken to them.
Have you sent a text or something?
No, they just see that I've got a missed call, so I haven't got around to it.
No. I thought you'd be right onto that.
Well, I did. I called them twice, waiting for my luggage, but no one answered. So I'm like, well...
No, okay.
See you in a few weeks.
All right. You think they're glad to have you out of the house, or it's like sad that you're out of the house?
No, I think they're devastated. It's is it just you and me talking now, or we?